Hello to my party people out there in radio land. Welcome to the sixth transmission. Today's topic is diversify everything. Everything? Everything. Okay, so there's a saying that we have in English, in American English. I gotta be specific because everybody don't say it, about eggs in baskets. Right, so they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Right, that's what they say. They say a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Right, all of that. What do you say? Riddle talk, which is to say, basically go with what you have at the moment and diversify your risks. Right, even in business, it's the same thing. They tell you to diversify your portfolios, right? It's the same thing. It's just saying don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't rely on one source for everything, right? Because if you drop that basket, then there go all your eggs. Then you can't eat, then you're hungry and all that other stuff, right? So you spread it around. What I am suggesting is that you also diversify other aspects of your life, including, for example, income sources. So if business teaches us to diversify our risks, right, to spread it around so that should one thing go wrong, we are not devastated or we are not just completely ended, really, then we should also let that carry over to aspects of our income, right? So diversify your risks, diversify your income sources. That way you are not completely dependent upon one thing. And I think I touched on this before in a transmission long time ago, about how if you give all of your power over to one source, then they have control over you. They own you. So in terms of income, it's the same thing. We push this thing in America where we say, there's the idea of everybody being terrified of being an independent contractor or entrepreneur, and you want to work for a company. You want to be able to get benefits. You want to have a stable paycheck and the yearly salary and things like that, right? That's as stable as it gets. There go my air quotes. That's even better than being hourly, because hourly you have your hours can change. It can fluctuate. But if you're salaried, it's like, man, I know my income for the rest of the year. Like, I can plan for that, which of course, as you see, that's not the case because people can, layoffs happen every day. So you can't depend on that. But that is all to say, if your income source is diversified, then you don't have to worry about your one big company having complete control over your financial life and essentially your life, your existence, right? Because if you can't eat, then everything else is ancillary, really. So instead of you just saying, I want to work for one company and put all of my loyalty and my faith and hope into this one company, I think that it's a smarter idea to take that same advice from business school and diversify your income sources. That way you have things coming in from different areas at different times, and you don't have to worry about putting up with things that you do not think that you should have to put up with, right? You have so many people complain about their job. I hate my boss, or, so it's about diversification. Also, I think hobbies, right? So it's important to diversify your hobbies so that you don't get burnt out. So if you have something, again, conventional wisdom teaches us to stick with stuff, right? Be consistent, be persistent, stick with it, right? I've spoken on that before. That is true, but everything in moderation, everything in life is intended to be within balance. So if you are doing something too much, right? Even let's say working out, let's say your hobby is working out, the muscles get fatigued, they get tired, they aren't able to heal properly before you are able to expand them, right? And that's how you get injured. It's the same with hobbies, right? If you are doing something, make sure that you have other things that also hold your attention and are also other sources other ways for you to use your time. That way you appreciate the things you appreciate things more, and you don't kind of start to resent them, or burn out prematurely, and that will inhibit you from attaining your highest level in that thing. Like, for example, let's say if you play an instrument, and of course that comes with practice, persistence, patience. You have to practice in order to get better. But if you don't take sufficient breaks and you don't say, let me go play jump rope or tennis or something, to take breaks in doing that, if your only hobby is that thing that you're trying to become great at, then you kind of plateau, right? And you kind of start to resent that thing, and that mental anguish stops you from reaching your true peak, right? Whereas if you have another hobby that you also do, right, that's completely different from playing an instrument, then you're able to come back to that, and you're able to focus all of your energies toward the one thing that you do like to do. So toward becoming a better flute player or something like that. Other sources of diversification: relationships, right? Friendships. So they say that you are the combination of the 7 people that you hang around with most, and that includes relatives, bosses, friends, romantic partners, all of that. So with that being said, it is important not to get stuck in the same groupthink that comes along with being around the same type of people. And that's what they talk about in psychology, right? When people are around the same sort of thinkers, people with the same minds, like people in big groups and meetings, particularly in corporate situations, they get to a point to where they all are just reiterating everything that everybody else says. That's where you get the phrase, to piggyback on what this person. You ain't got to say it. If you piggybacking, just don't say it, right? It's like, I need to make input my opinion, but I don't have nothing new to add. That's essentially what that whole phrase is. Like, it's just warning you that I ain't finna say nothing new, but I need to say something because I feel pressured, right? That's why it's important to diversify relationships, friendships, associates, your social circles, so that your thoughts do not become stagnant, your ways of life do not become stagnant, your hobbies do not become stagnant, your income sources do not become stagnant. You see how this all builds? Your evolution does not become hindered by stagnation, right? Lack of movement and motion, because even water can become stagnant if it does not move, right? It's got to move. Goals and dreams should be diversified, right? So I learned that long ago. When you, again, it kind of goes back to the hobbies thing. When you are working on something that you are committed to, and you have acknowledged the fact that you have to put time into it. You have to be persistent. So you're doing it all the time, specifically if it comes, if we're talking about your dreams. It is important to diversify your dreams because, again, you run a very big risk of becoming burnt out on them. So, for example, and getting discouraged. So let's say you want to be, I don't know, a singer, and that's where all of your time goes. That's where your energy goes, right? That's good. You're working on your greatness. You're practicing. You're doing everything that it takes, working on your skills and all of this other stuff. The problem is that once you feel like you've reached a plateau, a temporary one, but a plateau nonetheless, or you become overwhelmed or discouraged in that dream, because that always happens. Everybody becomes discouraged. That's how it works at some point. Then if you don't have anything to fall back on, then you'll just essentially give up and you'll sabotage yourself before you even attain your true greatness, right? Or if you don't give up, again, you'll start to resent it to where you're not putting in 100%. So it's like being able to take a break from it. It's like studying. Okay, if you study, then you go out and you do something physical, right? So it's balancing out the brain and the body. It's the same with your dreams. If your goal is to be a singer and that's all you focus on, then it's good to have other dreams, which may be more attainable or maybe not necessarily, but they require a different method to where you do not become completely overwhelmed and disillusioned with all of your dreams in general, right? You have smaller things, smaller goals, like I want to complete this painting within a week, or I want to volunteer, I want to cultivate this plant. You see what I'm saying? So that way you're building you're encouraging yourself on so many levels, in so many ways, to continue and giving yourself the energy to continue on with your bigger dreams and your bigger goals, right? Because it's like small victories, as they would say. How you spend your time should be diversified, right? Period, point blank, end of sentence, full stop, right? No matter what you are working on, no matter what you are doing, you should never be spending all of your time doing one thing. Never. Even if you say, well, I work all the time, that's a problem, right? I sleep all the time, that's a problem. Well, I grind all the time, that's a problem. I just work on, this one dream all the time. I really want to make this happen. I really want to be, a famous choreographer, right? Again, everything comes with balance. So if you are only doing one thing, if you are only doing social things, if you are only working, if you are only doing leisurely things, it's a problem, right? Everything needs to be diversified so that you are whole and your life is whole and your life is complete and you do not become burnt out, right? You not become an unbalanced person or human. And of course, lastly, food choices, right? Everything should be diversified. There's balance. So you say, well, there's people who say, well, I only eat vegetables. That's all I eat, fresh fruits and vegetables, which are amazing and it's good. And nobody will tell you not to, of course. But I was taught by a nutritionist that she said, when you are selecting, fruits and vegetables, make your plate as colorful as possible. That's how you know you're picking the right thing. Even though we love leafy greens and all of that, make sure that you have a little of everything, a little color, a little orange, a little yellow, a little red. That's how you know that you're eating what you need to eat. And so I just took that and said, well, why not make your life like your plate, right? Make your entire life colorful and varied, with different textures, right? Some crunchy, some soft, different shapes, different sizes, different tastes, some a little spicy, some sweet, some tangy, some sour, right? Why not make your life that way? And that makes it more interesting, right? That makes everything come together brilliantly and sets you up for a life well lived. And that's all I got to say. Thank you for listening. Have a great week. Love, live, light, laughter. Bye.